If you've studied any amount of church history, you know who William Booth is. So be able to keep me accountable to the dates here. But from what I know of William Booth, one of the founders of the Salvation Army, I know in 1882, he went to the theater to hear some of the new music that was sweeping the country. And he took his son. The problem is they couldn't get into the theater because it was so packed. It was overcrowded. And not only that, they did something they never did back then. They actually shut the doors and locked the doors because they didn't want any more people to come in. But the community wanted that music. So they banged down the door and they banged down the door and they banged down the door until there wasn't no door anymore. Not just to get more people in to hear the music, but to get the music out and into the community, into the crowd. And William Booth, hearing the song, said, "Why should the devil get all the best tunes?" This happened again similarly in the 1960s during the Jesus Revolution, where Christians looked at rock and roll and said, this is where the people's attention is. This is what's capturing people's attention. This is what's sticking with people in their mind. What if we used rock and roll to praise God, to speak the truth of God, to share the gospel of God and Jesus Christ? And the Jesus Revolution happened. I believe we are on the cusp of a new revolution. And right now it is make or break whether or not the church, the local church, is going to seize the opportunity that is marketing to gain the attention, garner the attention, earn the attention of their community and point it back at Jesus Christ. Because everyone's walking around. We make this joke. Everyone's walking around. They got lights on the sidewalk now so people don't walk into the street while they're checking their phone. Like, that's a serious thing. People's attention are on their phone. People's attention are on media and the other marketing messages that they see. So what if the church sees those opportunities and instead pointed people to Christ through them? In the same way that we took modern day music in the Salvation Army and that we took rock and roll in the Jesus Revolution, we can now take marketing and use that to proclaim the goodness of God, to use that to create relationships where discipleship happens. And we don't have to compete with the world through marketing. We can overcome it. We can be more clear through it. Or the other problem, the other option is the problem, which is where the church just stands back and says, "We're here if you need us. We're better than that," which is, I think, is selfish to say like, "Oh, we'll just be here and we don't do that. We don't need that." Okay, great. Others will, because they're willing to do whatever it takes to reach their community. So here's how the new marketing revolution can work for churches. And it really comes down to three ways that you can reach your community using marketing. And they follow what I call the decision-making process. I'm sure there's a fancy name for it. I call it the decision-making process. Because when someone wants to make a decision, they make a decision to change, to check out something, to look into something. Three things happen really quick within a split second. Okay. They first think, who do I know? So if they think I want to go to church, for example, they think of what are the churches I already know about. But if they don't know, then they go to, well, who do I know that would know? Friends and family, colleagues, coworkers. The problem is that as the age continues and generations go on, that friends and family component becomes less and less. Because number one, unfortunately, many families are not what they used to be, so there may not even be a family to ask. And then not only that, there's so much shame in the world. It's kind of shameful to say, I have an addiction. What church should I go to? Or what should I do? So more and more, that second step is disappearing. So if they don't know anyone and their friends and family don't know anyone, or perhaps they don't want to ask their friends and family, they go to Pastor Google. And they will decide or make a decision based on what Google tells them. So if you really want to be a part of this new marketing revolution and get people to pay attention to your church, you can introduce them to Jesus Christ and preach the gospel to them. You have to be at every step of those decision-making processes. Who do I know? Okay, which means you have to put in the work to make sure they've heard of you. So, you have to go. You have to be a church on the move. This, by the way, this whole definitive church marketing method thing that we teach and we do for churches doesn't work if you're a dying church. It doesn't work if you're a church that's barely stagnant. You have to be a church on the move. You have to have people that are active, like an active congregation. Okay. Marketing doesn't save a dying church. It kills it faster. I think that's a good thing. But you have to first be a church on the moon. You have to be a church that's going into your community. Okay. Then you have to do direct marketing, meaning, or direct advertising, meaning not billboards, that's indirect. Not signs, that's indirect. Flyers, still indirect. Okay. Because they're reading about you, they're not talking with you. So instead, use direct advertising, one-on-one advertisements where it's you and me and that's it. Okay, a Google ad is your website and me and that's it. Facebook ads is you and me and that's it. A YouTube ad, you and me and that's it. Okay, text message and email, you and me, that's it. They have to have heard of you some way. And then not only that, they might have heard of you from someone else. That's where public relations comes in. That's the third step to making sure that someone knows about you before they need to make a decision to connect with you. So if you can get those three pieces, then they'll know you when God calls them to go to a church. But maybe they haven't heard of those. They'll go to friends and family. Good news. Even if you haven't reached them, maybe you've reached their friends and family, and their friends and family can refer you or recommend you. But maybe they haven't either. So then they go to Google. How do you get Google to recommend you? We've figured out that Google, and I don't have time to go into it right now. Maybe I'll do a show on it later. But we figured out that Google is only useful if you're on the first page. If you're not on the first page, you don't exist. But not only that, if you're on the first page and our clients are on the first page, our clients are going to be on the first page 3 times because we've realized the importance of Google. So if someone in our client's neighborhood or community is searching for churches near me, they're going to see our clients 3 times before even when they see you only 1 time. Because there's an ad spot, there's a local spot, and there's the organic spot. And our goal is to get there 3 times. Okay, the ad. So that's how you get known in Google. You get an ad, preferably with the ad grant if you're a 501c3. You get a local spot because you've done local search engine optimization, and you've done an organic spot because you've done other organic search engine optimization and correct public relations. And that's why the marketing revolution is lacking in churches, because we think, well, we just do one piece. We just have a good website. We can't find you. So people don't know you. Their friends don't know you. And Google doesn't recommend you because it doesn't know your website is there. Or it doesn't know you exist, or it doesn't trust your website, so it doesn't recommend it. This is why StoryBrand, as great as it is, doesn't work alone. Because now you're just talking real good, but you don't have it effectively used on your website, and you don't have it effectively used on social media. And this is why Facebook ads or Google ads don't work for churches, because you haven't put the messaging thought behind it to make it clear with a message that people that see the ad can't ignore. And then when they click through the ad, your website's broken or it looks totally different from the ad, there's discontinuation and they leave anyways. And then you have a bad click-through rate and Google cancels your Google ad account. See, you're starting to see how this whole thing has to fit together to work effectively. So what would it look like if instead of just having a couple pieces and trying to piece them together, what if your community had the entire picture of your church and you took their attention from sideways to upwards? To stop being so focused on the marketing messages of here, but to be focused on the message of God, because you use modern day messaging and marketing to grab their attention and point it to their creator.